Hi, I'm Connor McKenzie. Another one of my few-minute yarns. A few minutes, okay? Give me a bit of leeway there. I get this question quite often. Do you have to be a good shot to be a good hunter? The simple answer to that is no. I've known many really good hunters who were just average shots. I've known some good hunters who were good shots. And I've known some good shots who weren't that good at hunting. And the best advice I can give any young person starting out is when you're heading into the bush, expect to see a deer. Be in that frame of mind that you're expecting to see a deer any minute, any second. And chances are you will see a deer. If you believe you're going to see one, you will hunt accordingly. It's as simple as that. And it works. But I'm often reminded when I get this question, I'm reminded of the time I was in a certain base hut and a certain field officer was heading off for a few days to settle a bit of argy-bargy between a couple of cullers, deer cullers he had in his employ. And he asked me to hang around because there was a young guy coming, a new recruit, a new culler, and would I stick around and show him the ropes, show him a few of the basics, and to help him on his way. And I agreed to do this. So this field officer took off. He said he was going to be away for about, well, a few days is what he said, which could mean anything. And the very next day, this young guy turned up, introduced himself, we'll call him John, and I showed him how to use a camp oven, how to bake bread, how to start a fire with, in wet conditions, how to find direction from the sun using your wristwatch, how to build an emergency bivvy shelter, and he was catching on all right. And when he turned up, he had all this. He had a department pack, sleeping bag, some ammo, and a 303 open-sighted rifle, common to the one we were all using in those days. And anyway, he was hanging around camp. And he said, all right if I have a few shots. I said, yeah, go for it. So he had about 100 rounds of ammo, I think, and he loaded up his magazine and he fired a shot across the river at this small tennis ball sized rock. And he hit just underneath it and got the thing rolling. And as it was rolling downhill, he fired another shot and split it in half. And I thought maybe it was a bit of a fluke, but he did it with several rocks of about the same size, and he never missed any. And when he got tired of this, he shot at sticks or bits of pumice floating down the river. And sometimes it'll be a stick, and if he hit a stick, he'd hit the stick and it'd be in two pieces, and he'd fire two shots and hit the two bits that he'd, the two pieces that's broken off. I don't think I've ever seen such incredible shooting. He was without doubt the most accurate, the best offhand shot I'd ever seen. And he must have fired off over the next couple of days more than 50 rounds doing this. He just kept shooting at targets, and you'd know what target he was shooting at, and he'd say, hey, watch this, and he'd point something out in the distance, and he'd fire, and it'd come tumbling down the hill, and he'd hit it again while it was tumbling down, or something floating by the river, or whatever. He was just a crack shot, brilliant shot. I never saw him miss. So, excuse me. So off we went, because I've been told by this field officer that when I thought he was ready, I was to take him upriver to a certain hut. So off we went, and he seemed to be handling the walk all right. He, nothing wrong with his fitness, and I knew he was a good shot. And as we were going upriver towards this hut, which was best part of the day's hike, I remembered that when I had been hunting this particular area, there was a certain gully, and yes, it was a very narrow gully, and but as you walked in, after about 30 metres, it widened out to a grassy area of approximately 2 acres, and there was always spring growth or fresh grass there, and I always, each and every time I went there, I saw at least one deer, sometimes two. So we're heading towards this place, and I stopped. I said, look, I said, just follow me a minute. And he followed me into this gully, and when we got to the part where it opened up, there were 7 deer in this clearing, and this clearing was they were hemmed in by the sheer walls of this gully, and the only way those deer could get out was to get past us. And as I say, there were 7 there, and this young fella, he had a fully loaded 303, 10 shots in the magazine, 10 rounds in the mag. I certainly knew he could shoot, and I certainly knew there was nothing wrong with his rifle. And so I stood to one side. I said, go for it, son, it's your birthday. And he emptied his magazine. He fired 10 shots. Now, there wasn't one of these deer that was any further away than 60 metres. Most of them were within 40 metres. He fired 10 shots, and he didn't even draw blood. He never scored a single hit. And the deer, out of sheer terror, decided they were going to crash through us to get out of there, and they did. I just stood to one side, and I let the deer get out. You know, after that, they deserved to get away. And okay, the only thing to do then was to carry on to this hut. And the young fellow, he was very quiet all the way there. When we got to the hut, he didn't. I made a brew of tea, strong tea with condensed milk. No, he wasn't interested. He wasn't interested in a feed, and he just crawled into his sleeping bag. And I tried to explain to him that he had an attack of buck fever. Buck fever. The moment was a bit much for him, and that it happens to most shooters at some time or another. And anyway, the next morning, when I woke up next morning, the young fellow was gone. He'd left his department gear, the stuff he was issued with, including his rifle. He'd left everything neatly placed on his bunk, and he'd obviously left before I'd woken up. On my way out, I saw his footprints, and I knew he'd got out okay, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I've never seen that guy from that day to this.